Yes, my friends, the week started off hot behind the scenes for the Steelers. The Week 1 win gave us all extra motivation. If you also enjoyed watching the victory over the Jets, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to receive all the updates this season. If possible, write something like this: "Go Steelers! Nothing will stop us." After months of dismissing the Steelers' decision to bring in Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, longtime critic Colin Cowherd changed his mind after Pittsburgh's Week 1 victory over the New York Jets. That's right, shortly after Rodgers' debut in the black and gold uniform, Cowherd, who once said Rodgers should avoid Pittsburgh and even suggested the Jets were a better option, now sees the vision. And, Steelers fans, this is something we need to talk about, because what we saw from Rodgers on Sunday wasn't just a good game, it was a potential blueprint for a long playoff run. Cowherd, in his post-game analysis, said something that caught everyone's attention. He called Rodgers a distributor, comparing him to Chris Paul, a veteran who is no longer the most athletic player on the field but uses his intelligence, experience, and leadership to elevate those around him. He noted Rodgers' mindset, quoting him directly, "I'm here to elevate others." That's a drastic change of tone for someone who spent the entire offseason mocking that shift. But after one game, even he had to admit that something different is happening in Pittsburgh. Rodgers was sacked 4 times in his debut. And yes, he's no longer the mobile wizard we've seen in Green Bay for years. But that doesn't matter. What matters is what he brings to this offense: elite processing, quick release, great pocket presence, and a calm command not seen in Pittsburgh since Ben Roethlisberger's prime. Watching Rodgers in action reminded many fans of Tom Brady's late career efficiency. Rodgers doesn't need to escape the pocket or perform off-script magic. He needs to read defenses, throw the ball quickly, protect the ball, and hit when needed. That's exactly what he did against the Jets. Statistically, Rodgers was number 1 in average time to throw, getting the ball out quicker than any other quarterback in the league. His average depth of target, bottom tier. But that's by design. He's playing smart football, taking what the defense gives, minimizing negative plays, and striking deep only when it makes sense. This is exactly how Brady won a Super Bowl in Tampa at age 43. And with the right help, Rodgers can absolutely do the same in Pittsburgh. But let's talk about what else stood out from that Week 1 performance. The Steelers' weapon usage was eye-opening. Most fans expected Roman Wilson to be more involved, especially in 3-receiver sets. Instead, it was Jonnu Smith stepping into that role as a versatile slot option. Smith wasn't just a tight end, he was used like a receiver, moved around the formation, and given manufactured touches. Meanwhile, Calvin Austin outsnapped both Wilson and Ben Skowronek, who actually caught a touchdown and looked strong as a blocker. Right now, Wilson is buried on the depth chart, and it's clear Rodgers has built more trust with guys like Skowronek. And speaking of Rodgers' trust, look at the distribution. 7 different players caught passes in Week 1. Rodgers doesn't lock onto his first read and panic. He scans the field, processes, and finds the best option. That's what separates good quarterbacks from great ones. Last season, with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, the Steelers' offense felt one-dimensional. First read, then scramble or check down. Defenses keyed in on Pickens and Pat Freiermuth, and the offense stalled. Now, it's unpredictable. Everyone is a threat, and that opens up the entire playbook. The play-action game was lethal on Sunday. Rodgers threw 3 of his 4 touchdowns off play-action, and it worked brilliantly because of one key factor: Jets defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn's aggressive run-stopping philosophy. Rodgers and Arthur Smith knew this and exploited it. When the offensive line held up, minus the glaring issue of Broderick Jones struggling on the edge, Rodgers carved up the secondary. But the offensive line still has work to do. Jones was clearly the weakest link, and the coaching staff must consider adjustments if he can't protect Rodgers' blindside moving forward. Defensively, one major problem emerged: Keanu Benton being miscast as a nose tackle. Benton, a player praised for his explosiveness and disruptive ability at Wisconsin, was overwhelmed when asked to anchor against double teams. He was driven backward repeatedly, becoming a liability in run defense. The solution? Shift him out of that nose role and insert rookie Y.A. Black instead. At 340 pounds, Black fits the nose tackle mold perfectly. He showed promise in the preseason and again in Week 1. His size and strength make him a better fit to anchor the line, letting Benton attack gaps and create chaos, his natural strength. Meanwhile, on the offensive line, it wasn't all bad. Mason McCormick quietly had an excellent game. In fact, he may have been the Steelers' best defensive lineman in Week 1. His development from year 1 to year 2 has been impressive, and Rodgers has taken notice. McCormick's technique, awareness, and strength were all on display, and if he continues to play at this level, he could become a foundational piece up front. Troy Fautano also held his own, giving the Steelers some hope for the right side of the line. And what about the defense's potential reinforcements? With Deshaun Elliott going down in Week 1, fans immediately began speculating about replacements. One name stood out, Jabril Peppers. The veteran safety sent a cryptic tweet saying "crazy how life works," which set off a wave of speculation. Steelers fans flooded his replies, begging him to sign with Pittsburgh. And honestly, he'd be a perfect fit. A physical, downhill safety who tackles well and brings a strong presence to the box. He fits the Steelers' defensive identity like a glove. If Elliott's injury is serious, Peppers should be priority number 1. But there are other options too. Justin Simmons is still available, though he's more of a free safety. Jordan Poyer has ties to Rodgers from their ayahuasca retreats and could be an intriguing fit. Marcus May and Marcus Williams are out there as well, though each comes with baggage. On the offensive side, if Pittsburgh wants to give Rodgers another familiar target, Odell Beckham Jr. is available. The chemistry between them is real, and Beckham could offer a spark. Tyler Boyd, a Pittsburgh native, would be a fan-favorite addition. Even Nelson Aguilar or DJ Chark could add depth if the team isn't satisfied with Roman Wilson's development. And let's not forget the offensive tackle situation. If Broderick Jones continues to struggle, options are slim. Isaiah Wynn is out there, but underwhelming. David Bakhtiari, however, remains a wild card. He hasn't played in a while, but if any team is going to give him a shot, it's the one with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. That relationship might be enough to bring Bakhtiari in for one last ride. Now the question is, what do you think, Steelers Nation? Can Aaron Rodgers really lead this team to the Super Bowl playing this distributor style of football at age 41? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's dive into the second half of this developing story because the pieces coming together in Pittsburgh go far beyond just Aaron Rodgers' debut. What we're seeing is a foundational shift in identity, execution, and leadership. And as Week 2 approaches, this evolution is just beginning. Let's return to that offensive shift because this may be the most underrated story in the league right now. Arthur Smith's play design and Rodgers' mastery are combining to form something that Steelers fans haven't seen in years: efficiency, composure, and creativity. The commitment to under-center play action, timing routes, and a quick-hitting passing game is a stark contrast from last season's reactive, disjointed approach. And the numbers support this. Rodgers didn't just look comfortable, he looked surgical. Even with limited mobility, he delivered the ball with precision, protected himself with quick decisions, and showed complete control over the tempo. But let's not ignore the growing concerns that could become problems if not addressed. Broderick Jones remains the biggest red flag on this offensive line. He struggled in both pass protection and in run blocking. If his performance doesn't improve, he puts Rodgers at serious risk, something that can happen if Pittsburgh is serious about a playoff run. That's where depth and potential late-season additions like Bakhtiari come back into the conversation. Rodgers knows him. He trusts him. If Jones continues to falter, don't be surprised if a call is made. On the other side of the ball, the defensive front is still under construction. The coaching staff must recognize that trying to make Keanu Benton something he's not is only hurting the defense. He's not a space eater. He's not a two-gapper. He's a disruptor, a penetrator, someone who thrives on slicing into the backfield, not absorbing double teams. Y.A. Black, with his massive frame and physicality, fits the traditional nose tackle role far better. Playing them both in their natural roles would instantly improve Pittsburgh's ability to stop the run and maintain gap integrity. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and click on the video on your screen now for more in-depth Steelers coverage. All the news, all the analysis, all the breaking updates, you'll only find it here first.